53 million people each and every year. 700,000 operations, bringing non-stop access to more than 170 locations found all around the globe. Our mission is to connect the people, businesses, cultures, and economies of the world to Houston. And living up to that mission means building new facilities, building a more dynamic route map, and building a better travel experience through technology and a commitment to customer service. We are the Houston Airport System, and we are building the future.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Paul, for that kind introduction. Council members, distinguished guests, our airline and service partners, and everyone here today who understands the importance of the Houston Airport System and its direct relationship to the growth and sustainability of the greater Houston region economy. Thank you for joining us. At the outset, I want to assure you and the citizens of Houston that the state of the airport in Houston is as good as it has ever been and is poised to be the best it will ever be. Never before has the city of Houston been as well connected to the people, businesses, cultures, and economies of the world than it is today. Since June of 2010, we have brought to Houston over 10 foreign flag carriers, and they have opened over 12 new international routes. Add to the list the new routes added by United Airlines and the numerous routes inaugurated by the low-cost carrier Spirit, and you soon start to understand the dramatic increase and expansion of our service network in frequency, in options, in ticket pricing to just about everywhere in our world. On the domestic front, a similar story can be told with Southwest's great and very impressive growth over the last several years, and with its expansion into international operations from Hobby. Houston now is unequivocally anchored in the global network that will drive growth in its economy for decades to come. In October, Hobby Airport will open its doors as a regional international airport of the Americas, offering direct service to all of North America, Central America, the Caribbean, and the northern rim of South America. At Intercontinental Airport, we have commenced work to rebuild and replace the aging Mickey Leland International Terminal with a new, a modern, an efficient, and aesthetically appealing facility Houstonians can feel proud of. And at Ellington Airport, we will be well on our way towards solidifying our leadership in aerospace when we receive licensing from the Federal Aviation Administration to convert Ellington to a spaceport. That's right, a spaceport. More on that in a minute. Now, I make these points because you may recall last year I began my remarks by saying how after 30 years in the aviation industry, I had never seen a more eventful year than the one that I had witnessed in 2013. Well, that statement held true for exactly 1 year. I would not have thought it possible, but 2014 really has surpassed anything that I've ever seen after 30 years in this business. And please keep in mind, as Paul has said, that I spent a great number of years in the New York airports and as the chief operating officer for the world's busiest airport in Atlanta. 2014 was unprecedented in its production of customer-focused results, its capacity for growth, its capacity for change, its capacity for innovation. I'd like to think we seized on many of the key opportunities presented to us in 2014, and that those opportunities will pay dividends for all of us moving forward in the years to come. That's why I'm particularly fond of the theme for this year's annual report, Building the Future. I'm fond of the phrase because it captures perfectly both the sense of urgency that's driving us today and the long-term vision that's guiding our efforts toward tomorrow. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to do my best to paint a picture that fully explains the unique opportunity that's lying directly in front of us all, and what steps are necessary to seize that opportunity and fully capitalize on the benefits associated with it. Now, before we get started, I would like to take a moment for a couple of important recognitions. First, I would like to ask my senior staff to stand for a moment. Senior staff. And I ask them to stand because these are the men and women who craft the direction for George Bush Intercontinental Airport, William P. Hobby, and Ellington Airport. And even more importantly, they do the thinking. They do the heavy lifting necessary to turn those plans into reality. They are Saba Abishal, Ian Wadsworth, Lisa Kent, Perry Miller, Arturo Machuca, Matt Townsend, Harleen Hines-Smith, Marie Anderson, Jeffrey Brown, and Lance Little. Would you please join me again in a round of applause for this very talented, hardworking, and dedicated group of managers. And I would also be remiss if I didn't take just a moment to recognize one of the airport system's biggest supporters, Houston's Mayor, Anise Parker. I am proud to be a member of the mayor's team managing this great city. Mayor Parker brought me to Houston, as Paul said, in 2010, immediately provided me with two absolutely essential supports for success. Number one, she gave me a clear sense of exactly what she wanted to see accomplished. And number two, her personal assistance in helping me turn those objectives into reality. The two of us have logged quite a few air miles over the past 5 years, traveling to Asia, to Africa, South America, and many of the accomplishments that you'll see listed in this address are the direct result of those outreach efforts. Along with Andy Icken, who unfortunately had to leave, the Chief Development Officer for the city, who has guided me and provided much of the broad strategy from the city's perspective, I say thank you, Mayor and Andy, on behalf of the airport system and on behalf of the 53 million passengers flying in and out of Houston each and every year. In an article that appeared in the Sunday edition of the Houston Chronicle on March 8th, the authors noted that between 2000 and 2010, over 700,000 immigrants migrated to Houston, second only to New York City. In the period 2010 to last year, another 400,000 immigrants were calling Houston their home. Houston is without doubt the most diverse city in this nation, and the Houston airport system has made that possible. And we will continue to strengthen the connections with the people of this world. It is the primary mission of any airport operating anywhere in the world to first join and then extend and strengthen its position in the global air service network. At the risk of repeating myself, I believe it cannot be stressed enough to say that our mission is to connect the people, the business, cultures, and economies of the world to Houston. And I am happy to report to you today we are making that mission a reality. Last year, we enjoyed unprecedented success in expanding the route map, bringing in new airlines to the Houston market, and opening up new nonstop destinations through our existing carriers. The boarding gates at George Bush Intercontinental Airport began to reverberate in May with the arrival of Korean Air with nonstop service to Seoul, South Korea. Recognized as America's largest Asian air carrier, Korean Air established daily nonstop service between Houston and the world-renowned Incheon International Airport, markedly increasing Houston's seat capacity to Asia in the process. In fact, thanks to the arrival of Korean Air, and then in 2013, the arrival of Air China, the number of seats traveling between Houston and Asia has increased by about 400% over the past 2 years alone. 3 months later, and another airline was enjoying a ribbon-cutting ceremony in Houston. Only this time, the nonstop flight was headed to Europe. Scandinavian Air Systems, or SAS, retrofitted a Boeing 737 aircraft to accommodate just 44 business class passengers. What does that tell you about Houston? Offering additional legroom and other specific features of meeting the needs of the business traveler, SAS launched nonstop service to one of Houston's key partners within the global energy sector, Stavanger, Norway. By the fourth quarter of 2014, the Houston airport system was celebrating the arrival of a third new airline of the year, Interjet, celebrated its maiden Houston flight on October 23rd, flying to Monterrey, Mexico, and in doing so helped to strengthen Houston's standing as the most connected city by air to Mexico. There were clear signs throughout 2014 indicating that this amazing momentum was not going to slow down anytime soon. No less than 5 additional airlines made major announcements in 2014, revealing their plans to launch operations from Houston at various times in the new year. Today marks the beginning of that second wave of operational launches. Just a couple of hours ago, Volaris, a low-cost airline based in Mexico, operated its first ever flight to Houston, flying into Bush Airport from Guadalajara in Mexico. That is only the beginning. All Nippon Airways will begin flying to Tokyo's Narita International Airport in June of this year. A short time later, EVA Airways will inaugurate its first non-stop service between Bush Intercontinental Airport and Taipei, Taiwan. Asia is growing rapidly. But then we have WestJet, the low-cost Canadian carrier based out of Alberta, will begin daily non-stop flights to Calgary in September of this year. And in just a few weeks, Vacation Express will launch seasonal non-stop service to the Grand Bahamas. All of this activity is in addition to the amazing service that we have today from our current carriers already operating in Houston. Spirit Airlines will be going international at Bush in May of this year, launching nonstop service to 7 different destinations found in Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua. The new service will complement the 3 domestic routes that will be starting, that will boost the 12 airports that they already connect to Bush Intercontinental Airport, making them the second most active airline at Intercontinental Airport. Just 4 months ago, Houston welcomed its second A380 aircraft as Emirates joined Lufthansa Airlines in utilizing the jumbo jet across the transatlantic. Passengers flying to Dubai now have access to private suites aboard the aircraft, 2 shower spas, and an onboard lounge area. The A380 will add about 40% capacity in seats flying between Houston and United Arab Emirates. I remember the doubters who said the A380 would never come to Houston. And then just as suddenly, we had no less than 2 of these giant behemoths sitting on our ramp, breaking all-time records with their unique capacity to extend lift and to extend reach within our global network. Most importantly, we continue to strengthen our partnership with Houston's busiest carrier, United Airlines. In 2014, United's route map in Houston grew by 7 new nonstop destinations, including service to Munich, Germany, Santiago, Chile, and Punta Cana, the Dominican Republic. The United team added frequencies to existing routes. They're launching 2 new destinations this month alone, and they have partnered with us in a way that will shape international air travel in this region for decades to come. Right now, the city of Houston is within reach of a very unique and very powerful opportunity. Owing to our strong diversity, our dynamic economy, and our perfect geographical positioning, Houston is poised to become a very powerful global nexus, with international passengers coming to Houston on their way through to the Americas and to various destinations in the United States. To achieve this vision, there stands before us just one significant hurdle. It is the fact that the existing international terminal building, that is Terminal D, does not measure up to world standards for international accommodations, and it is certainly not the type of facility that properly reflects Houston's standing as a competitive global gateway. So in 2014, we took 2 major steps forward to address this issue. First, we partnered with United Airlines and the international carriers at Bush Intercontinental Airport to create a plan that will allow us to completely demolish the existing Mickey Leland International Terminal and replace it with an entirely new terminal, all the while accommodating normal operations throughout the life of this construction project. The end result will be a dramatic change in experience for the international traveler choosing Houston as their destination or their connecting center. The new terminal will offer 15 wide-body capable gates, an open and spacious travel experience with amenity that today's traveler has come to expect from world-class airports, and a series of aesthetic touches that will create a distinctly Houston experience with a definite sense of place. Second major step was taken in June of last year as Houston City Council overwhelmingly approved the funding and phasing plan necessary to move this project forward. Since that time, the airport system has been busy putting together the appropriate management team, explaining the project to the surrounding community, and working through the countless logistics and details that inevitably come with a project of this size. We expect to begin demolition work in 2016, with the new terminal up and running, hopefully by the end of 2020. But there's another international terminal in town that's set to open its doors well before then. On October 15th of this year, William P. Hobby Airport will once again accommodate commercial international travel after a 45-year hiatus. If you've been to Hobby recently, you then know just how much work has gone into this effort and how much progress has been made in such a relatively short period of time. The building itself is virtually constructed, with crews now turning their attention to things such as flooring and walls and finishes. The end result will be a 5-gate international concourse that accommodates nonstop flights to locations found throughout Latin America, the Caribbean, and places like Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, Los Cabos, Mexico City, San Jose in Costa Rica, Belize City, Belize. We know these exact destinations because we've been working hand in hand with our partner at Southwest Airlines throughout the entire process. In fact, they're managing construction with the agreement that the City of Houston takes over and ownership of the facility on the first day of operation. After that, Southwest will have preferential scheduling rights on 4 of the gates, while the 5th gate will be set aside for additional air carriers that may be interested in the future in conducting international flight operations at Hobby Airport. This new capability is expected to generate an additional 1 million passengers each year at Hobby Airport, and that's on top of the record-setting 12 million passengers already moving through Hobby in 2014. Because of this unprecedented growth, the Houston Airport system is supporting the new international concourse with 2 key projects: a multi-level parking garage that will add approximately 3,000 new spaces to the airport's parking inventory, and an extension of the upper-level roadway, allowing for easier traffic flow regardless of the passenger's ultimate destination. This will be a historic moment that unfolds in October, but the fact is, Houston has already enjoyed significant benefits because of these projects. New jobs have been created as a result of the work. Hundreds of millions of dollars have been pumped into the Houston economy, and new air service has already been established in preparation for the new international route map. Over the past 2 years, Southwest Airlines has been systematically routing many of its domestic flights through Houston in preparation for the international service launch. As a result, Southwest has added nonstop service to Hobby to 15 different airports throughout the United States, Puerto Rico, and Aruba. In each of the past 4 years, Hobby Airport has set an all-time record in regards to passenger totals. These new facilities and the new flights are incredibly important to making sure that this positive momentum continues decades to come. But of course, we can't simply wait for long-term projects to address all our needs. We also have to do everything we can to bring immediate improvements to the overall customer experience. And I'm happy to report that we have made significant progress in this area as well. Last year, passenger satisfaction rates at Bush Intercontinental Airport jumped a full 10 percentage points over the totals recorded in 2013, with 78% of passengers saying they were quite satisfied with the service they received. The number at Hobby Airport was even higher, at 86% saying they were quite satisfied, even in the midst of a major construction project. These results don't just happen on their own. They only occur when you have dedicated employees who are committed to creating a positive atmosphere and a memorable experience for the 53 million guests that we encounter each year. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very proud to announce something you already know, which is that the Houston Airport system now offers free access to high-speed Wi-Fi service. It spans virtually every public area at both Bush Intercontinental and Hobby Airport. It is absolutely free of charge, and with an average of 6 to 8 megabits per second, it is one of the most robust Wi-Fi systems to be found in any U.S. airport. We've created dramatic monuments to mark the customer's arrival and departure at Bush Intercontinental Airport, with similar work headed for Hobby in the very near future. In Terminal D alone, we've invested millions of dollars on a renovated executive lounge, new seating in the ticketing hall, and dramatic improvements to the restrooms facilities there and in Terminal A. We have completely revamped our Houston-friendly customer service program to include anyone who wears a badge at any of the 3 airports within the Houston airport system. And we are beginning to see the results coming from all of these efforts. We have established operational standards to move at least 80% of all arriving international passengers through immigrations in 30 minutes or less. Working with our local team of Customs and Border Protection, I am proud to say that we are achieving results of 86% clearing this within this time frame. We said we would move at least 90% of all passengers in 10 minutes or less to every one of the TSA checkpoints at both airports. Working with our colleagues at the TSA, I can share with you that today we are achieving that metric on a daily basis. And assuming all goes well this Wednesday, and I know there are some that say that's a big if, we will be overhauling completely the set of concession offerings for our passengers. Everything offered, from sale of newspapers to sandwiches to cosmetics to spirits, fine spirits will be replaced, rebranded, upscaled to meet the demands of our very discriminating customers and travelers. We have graced the walls and floors of the terminal throughout Bush and Hobby airports with fine visual art in the form of framed paintings and sculptures. We have added color and beauty to create a restful and reflective environment where the passenger may become absorbed and released from the stress of travel. Next up, a performing arts program that will take flight in just the next several weeks. But on that, you'll have to wait for a few days. In addition to this enhanced human touch, the Houston airport system is doing everything possible to make sure that the latest technology is being used to expedite your travel experience. Back on Valentine's Day of last year, the airport system unveiled a group of kiosks in the U.S. Customs processing area called Automated Passport Control System. These self-service kiosks allow you to simply place your passport down on a scanner where your information is electronically scanned and passed along to a waiting customs agent. This eliminates the need for passengers to fill out arrival cards by hand, not only improving more accurate information, but also lessening the time needed for primary screening by an average of 35%. These kiosks will also be available to passengers at Hobby Airport once international processing begins there on October 15th. Other technological advances in Houston are less notable to the passenger, but just as important to the overall customer experience. Last year, Houston became the first city in the United States to complete something called the Metroplex Next Gen Airspace Redesign. Now, what is that? It is simply a federal project that increases on-time efficiency and improves the customer experience by allowing pilots to plot a more natural descent from en route to the runway, as if sliding down a banister rather than a step-by-step approach down a staircase. This was in addition to the opening of a new terminal radar approach control facility called the TRACON, the most recent state-of-the-art control center found anywhere in the nation, and where the Federal Aviation Administration operates and monitors 16,000 square miles of airspace running from Louisiana all the way to Houston and Austin. In the near future, you can expect to see the application of more technology to improve service. When the Hobby Garage opens in October, it will be equipped with a space management and guidance system, making the finding of a parking space a very simple and pleasant chore. But I think the most impressive chapter in this technological story may be waiting just around the corner. You see, the Houston airport system has officially filed its application with the Federal Aviation Administration to become the nation's 10th licensed commercial spaceport. We'll have our answer no later than June 28th, but we are extremely optimistic to become a key component of future growth plans at Arlington Airport. If you're not familiar with the commercial spaceport industry, this is the private sector doing much of the work which was used to be performed by personnel at NASA. We're talking about astronaut training, the launching of microsatellites, zero-gravity experimentation, and a host of other activities. This work is already being done in 9 commercial spaceports operating in states from Alaska to Florida, and we think the time is right for Space City USA to enter the competition, and we are doing that. We have the infrastructure available right now. In fact, if you were going to design and build a spaceport from the ground up, you would probably create something remarkably similar to Ellington Airport anyway. But while the runways and the vacant lands are important, they're not the key reasons why Houston would likely be successful in this industry. We have an incredibly dynamic economy that's connected to other economies on a global scale. We would succeed because we enjoy strong connection with the aerospace industry, with key companies and agencies that are already in place, like Boeing, Northrop Grumman, NASA, and the Johnson Space Center. We have a diverse population, a low cost of living, and a high quality of life, all of which puts us in a perfect position to capitalize on one of the most exciting industries available in the 21st century marketplace. So what would a Houston spaceport look like? Well, in the beginning, not dramatically different than what Ellington Airport looks like today. What you would see is perhaps a reusable launch vehicle or a spacecraft that are about the size of a corporate jet. But once over the Gulf of Mexico, these jets, these spacecraft would climb to the closest reaches of outer space. After its mission, it returns to the runways at Ellington Airport. These operations and the host of different jobs associated with them will allow Houston an opportunity to strengthen its reputation as a forward-looking city and leader in creating high-tech, high next-generation jobs. But of course, we can't rely on technology alone to move the Houston airport system forward. There has to be a human connection at the heart of everything we do. And that connection has to exist not just between the airport and the passenger, but between the airport and the community. That's why we take such pride in hosting or participating in a variety of community events. For example, the Wings Over Houston Air Show and the 9/11 Heroes Run both enjoyed their most successful events ever at Ellington Airport in 2014. More than 100,000 people were on hand in October for that event, while more than 3,000 runners spent their September Saturday participating in a 5K run designed to help those heroes in uniform who have been injured while serving their country and community. Houston Airport System employees also took time to participate in the National Wreaths Across America Day at the Houston National Cemetery. These events, along with visits to the Texas Children's Medical Center and the Customer Appreciation Days, the holiday entertainment festivals, and many, many other occasions, are designed to strengthen the bond that exists between the airport operations and the 6 million people who call Houston their home today. Finally, we commenced work on creating a skilled labor training center at Bush Continental Airport, engaging I see I have a booster here. 3 of our local community college, Lone Star, San Jacinto, and Houston community, in a dialogue to reach agreement on them managing the center on behalf of the airport system. Think about it. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we hope to train local citizens in search of better paying, more rewarding work in every area of construction. Now, in closing, as I mentioned at the beginning of my remarks, I can promise you that the Houston Airport System will do everything possible to support the mission for which it was created, and will serve Houston and its citizens by providing the very best air service available, and we will do it in a way that is focused first on the passenger, but at the same time, sensitive to the communities in which we operate. In fact, we're already doing the heavy lifting necessary to turn this goal into a reality. We've dubbed this effort Building the Future, and we look forward to sharing the results with you in the months and years ahead. Thank you, and have a great afternoon.
Would you like it?
It's up to you.
Probably not.
Okay.